Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
The Madison Fire Department is made up of volunteers. Those men and women join because they want to help others. But now some of them may need a helping hand. They've responded to 3 accidental deaths in 11 days, including a fatal fire on Monday.
The chief says they've met with a minister and are trying to make sure everyone is paying attention to their mental health. Tim Hertz is a counselor with Avera Help who helps first responders deal with tragedy.
If they find that after a few days or a couple weeks, they're still being kind of haunted by the things that they dealt with, the things they saw and heard and maybe even smelled, that they should begin to seek help.
Signs of needing help may include not being able to sleep, a short temper, poor self-hygiene, and depression. On the 4th of July, Randy Villefone was the victim of a near drowning at Lake Okoboji. On July 8th, he died at a hospital in Sioux Falls.
Randy's sister Penny sat down with us to share what she hopes people will remember about her brother.
He's just a really respected guy all around, work, home, just anywhere. He never had any problems with anybody, he never hurt anybody. I feel he just never acknowledged anything negative. He was a very optimistic person.
A public viewing for Randy will be held tomorrow. You can find those details along with more about Randy and a link to the family's GoFundMe page in a KELOLAND.com original by Jacob Newton. South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley has issued a statement on the investigation into the Mitchell American Legion baseball program. Jackley says based on the serious nature of the allegations, he's confirming that the State Division of Criminal Investigation and assisting agencies are investigating the complaints surrounding the baseball program.
The AG says right now there are no formal charges filed. Jackley says prosecuting authorities, including the Pennington County State's Attorney, are doing a further review of the allegations and evidence.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munt. Going to warm up today, Scott.
Oh, that we will. Numbers do return to the 80s, and for some of us, back to the lower 90s. I think 90s will be found in central, south central, even southeastern South Dakota. Forecast high in Sioux Falls is for a high of 90 in Yankton. 86 today in Aberdeen, 92 in Pierre, and 86 with developing thunderstorms in Rapid City. More details on a KELOLAND Live Doppler forecast coming up.
Thank you, Scott. An Augustana University student is recovering after he was struck by a firework last week.
R.J. Holliday was lighting a firework with friends on July 4th when it went off and hit one of his eyes. We caught up with R.J. Wednesday. He says he wasn't in pain.
Doing better than a week ago. So better than when I got out of the hospital.
There's a GoFundMe organized to help with his medical bills. You can find a link to it with this story on KELOLAND.com. The Compass Center in Sioux Falls is set to host the easiest race you'll ever run.
South Dakota's laziest race is a half K, less than a third of a mile, to benefit the Compass Center, which provides care to survivors of domestic and sexual violence. The race will be run in the parking lot at JJ's Wine, Spirits, and Cigars.
We have a pretty good amount of open space down here, so we've kind of mapped off a course in the parking lot. It'll start over here in our north parking lot, and it'll end over here in our north parking lot in 0.5 kilometers.
South Dakota's laziest race is Saturday at 11 a.m. at JJ's Wine, Spirit, and Cigars in Sioux Falls. The entry fee is $30, but kids 11 and younger can participate for free. And this weekend, you could help a local motorcycle organization give back to the Children's Home Society for just $10.
Those Guys Bait will hold its 15th annual poker run on Sunday. President Dave Brendy says over the years they've raised over $200,000 with 100% of the proceeds going to Children's Home Society.
You can go over there anytime and they'll show you where your money's going, how it's being used. It stays local. It's just a very good charity.
Brendy says all vehicles are welcome to participate, not just motorcycles. Registration is from 11 to 1 on Sunday at Cheap Shots.
That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Scott Mudd. Scott?
All right, good morning, everybody. We'll follow western, southwestern South Dakota later today with developing thunderstorms in and around Rapid City. Anything that develops will move to the east, maybe slightly to the southeast. By the evening, this is Futurecast at 7 o'clock, trying to show a thunderstorm in south central South Dakota as well as parts of southeastern KELOLAND, maybe in and around Yankton. You could even throw in Mitchell. During the late evening hours, I would say from Mitchell to Worthington and south, probably the best bet to get wet. And then look what happens overnight. Brookings to Marshall and to the south. There may be an isolated shower or thunderstorm that develops into those areas as well. I think many locations tomorrow will be mostly sunny to partly cloudy. We do have an isolated chance for a thunderstorm during the afternoon in southeastern South Dakota. That's with the changing of the wind direction. We'll try to hold on to a southwest wind as long as we can in the southeast. Once we try to become northwest, we might be able to spark that thunderstorm across southeastern South Dakota, Iowa, and Minnesota. Slight risk for severe weather. This is for today, western, southwestern South Dakota, hail and wind being the main threat. And speaking of wind, once we get into this weekend, I think everybody will have a northwest wind. That will help us cool. I would say highs this weekend, probably in the 70s and 80s for both Saturday and Sunday, as we do continue with that north to northwest wind on Sunday. Then it changes to a southeast wind come Tuesday, and Tuesday is the day we have a 20-30% chance for rain. As these dew point temperatures get back to the 60s, you will see that by the time we do hit Tuesday of next week. We're looking at a little more moisture in the atmosphere, so we added that 20 to 30% chance for a shower or thunderstorm. Now here's the forecast in the meantime. Temperatures today will reach the 80s and 90s for afternoon highs with developing storms in western South Dakota. And you can check the details of the 7-day forecast while you're here online. Have a great day.